What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe with No Days Off DFS, here to bring you that Flex Friday flex on them WNBA picks for today's Flex Friday promo. If you guys new here, make sure you guys go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out over here on the channel, and drop a like on this video if this video or any of my other videos help you guys win some money. So if you guys don't know what Flex Friday is, pretty much over on Prizepicks, they give you a protected slip depending up to 25, 35, 50. I've seen people even get up to $100 protected on a pick 6, pick 5, pick 4 flex slip. So pretty much you just got to put a couple of plays into a slip, click the flex option, and make sure you opt in on the promo tab first, and make sure you click the promo that you want to use in order to get your protected slip. So the way if the picks bomb, you still get your 25, 35, whatever it is that you played back to you, and you live another day to go ahead and play some plays. Now, typically, of course, we go for the big old 6 pick because that's the biggest bang for our buck. It's a protected slip. Why not go ahead and try to get as much money as we can? Now, I've seen a lot of people go a couple of different routes and ways when we're ever doing this. Of course, in the MLB, underneath that tab, you have a lot of demon props and things like that we can go to and get the boosted odds, which I think is probably, not even I think, but is the best time to go ahead and use the promo like this. If you think like Trojan Walker is going to be able to go out here and get you over 4.5 strikeouts, same thing with Jack, go ahead, take him, pair them up, and then pair it up with some of your other favorite plays, and boom, cash out. $25 can turn into 9,000 or something like that, depending on what the boosted odds will be. So I'm going to focus on the WNBA, and if you guys don't have a Prizepicks account and you want one, check the link down in the description below so you guys can get a deposit match bonus and come over here, play on Prizepicks if it's your first time. So again, I'm only going to focus on a couple of plays that I do like. I'm not going to force too many. I'm going to give you the ones that I feel like have the best odds to go ahead and cash. Now, in the midst of me trying to record this video and doing the research to make sure I had the plays and was waiting for plays to get put up on the board, some plays have gotten bumped, but I am only going to focus on the ones that I really do like. I will give you the other ones as leans for you to be able to take if you want to take them for the possible upside. Say you're still trying to build a 6 slip and you want to go ahead and have those. So first play we're going to focus on in that first game that we have, we're going to look at our girl Aaliyah Boston. Now, we recently just seen this matchup with Aaliyah Boston going up against the Atlanta I almost said Atlanta Hawks, going up against the Atlanta Dream, where she was dominant out there, specifically scoring and off of the glass. She went out there and put up 27 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, had a really good all-around game, dropping 49 fantasy points according to DraftKings projections, and I'm pretty sure it was like 50 something plus over there for FanDuel. Matter of fact, let's look it up. She got 47.6 over here for FanDuel. Of course, the turnovers count a little bit more for -1. So definitely something to keep in account, but the block is still upside. That right there counts as 3 fantasy points. So again, if you're ever playing players for fantasy points, you really want players that have a high block and steal upside, because that right there can really help get you to that fantasy score number that they have, especially with the +3 that it adds to those slips. Now, the main one that I want to focus on is going to be the rebounding for the Atlanta Dream. 9.5 rebounds. This was sitting at 9. I loved it for the push potential, but I still had it for 10, close to 11 rebounds again anyway, because over her last several games, Aaliyah Boston has been a force, racking up. Last game going against Washington, only 8 rebounds, but game before that, 14. Then, of course, going up against the Atlanta Dream, she had 13. And then against the Connecticut Stingy Suns, the game where they pretty much ran her out there, pulled all the starters, she had 12 rebounds in that game. So we're seeing a very assertive, aggressive, and a much better Aaliyah Boston over the last several games. 9.5 rebounds. Already did this once inside this prior matchup. Loving the upside. Plus, she's going to be playing more than likely in front of a ton of Gamecock fans as they come out to support and watch her play, since they will be playing in the State Farm Arena down in Atlanta where the Hawks play. And who's not going to want to show out in front of all their alumni? If you look at it in the past, what she's done whenever she has played the Atlanta Dream down in Atlanta, last season, of course, is only her second season in the league. But that first game that she went going up against them is honestly her poorest and worst game that she had. She only played 26 minutes in that game and still had 7 rebounds in that one. But the second game that she did play against them last season, she had 10 rebounds and she played 34 minutes. A really good all-around game for her. She dropped 25 points as well. But the rebounding upside, love it. Love the assertiveness that we are seeing from Boston. And another slight lean that you could take would be her points and rebounds, just for the upside, because she is scoring at a pretty decent clip over her last several games, as we've seen 22, 19, and 27 points. Again, a more assertive Aaliyah Boston that we are actually seeing. The matchup is not bad at all for her, as long as she keeps herself out of foul trouble. But the big bonus that we do have is the security in minutes for Aaliyah Boston, with Fag Bentley already been ruled out. They only have a tight rotation for the bigs between Aaliyah Boston and Alyssa Smith. They are pretty much playing all those minutes down there at the center and the forward position. We are going to see a ton of minutes for Aaliyah Boston once again here, especially if the Hawks, if the Dream, which I do believe they can, actually keep this game closer than what they did the last time that these two teams played. So going with Aaliyah Boston, the 9.5 rebounds, love the upside for it. And two secondary plays that you can actually go with would be her 35.5 fantasy points or her 26 points and rebounds. Both of those are really good plays as well that you can take on the slate. Next play up is going to be inside the second game. It's going to be my girl Deja Carrington. She seems to be a favorite of mine personally, just for the fact of this year she's actually starting, unlike last year before where she was coming off the bench. But the defensive intensity that she brings, another player that we can rely on to get you a couple of steals, and she can go ahead and get some hops and get some blocks, but she doesn't have to just rely on just those peripheral stats like that with the stocks. She can also go out there and score and get a bucket as well, and can dish the rock because she is one of those guards that can get a little bit of action going on with Wnba, AT, and Bri Jones if the ball is not in AT's hands. The upside truly is there for Carrington. My favorite prop for her is going to be her fantasy points scored. I do like the over for it at the 23. Pretty much we're kind of seeing her hover right around this range. So far this season is where they seem very comfortable keeping her around that 23, 24 fantasy point score. And she's went over at a pretty decent clip. Games where she has to actually get up for it, she has done very well in those games. And if you look at last season, she was a fantasy point per minute producer in every single game that she played going up against the Las Vegas Aces. Now, if you look at those game logs, understand Carrington was coming off of the bench back then. She was not a starter. They still had Heidemann in the rotation. But with players gone and more spots open up, Carrington is now in the starting lineup, which she has shown that she can actually play very, very well. She normally gets the harder defensive assignment, which in this case more than likely should be Kelsey Plum, for her to go out there and put up some decent defensive numbers out there in this matchup. But 23 fantasy points scored. I love the upside for it. If you look at it, she has gone over pretty decently so far this season in regards to, I know her game logs. If you look at it, if you're a game log watcher, last five is last five. Really, 2 out of the last 5, not bad at all. Against the Sparks, dropped 28 fantasy points there. Against the Indiana Fever, 42.75. I can see her getting something closer towards say 25, close to 30, because this is one of those games where Carrington should and will want to get up for. And if you have been watching her whenever she plays going up against Indiana so far this season, or any of the other top teams in the league where she wants to go ahead and stick it to them, you know Carrington is kind of petty. Not even kind of, she is petty. And she will go ahead and she will bring that sauce, and she definitely will be bringing her A game for this game. Now, some secondary plays that you can go with for Carrington. I don't mind looking at her 12 points. Do love the upside. They did have it 11.5. Unfortunately, it got bumped before I can actually get to that. That's why I ended up falling down to her fantasy points scored. But as you can see, before they did the bump, she was 4 out of 5 in her last 5 games in regards to going over that. And the Aces, depending on who she actually has for the defensive matchup, which it should be Plum. It should be Plum on Carrington, Carrington on Plum. She has the matchup, and she should be able to go ahead and get whatever she wants out there going up against a weak Plum defense on today's slate. Now, before I even do the breakdown for this one, I get it. Bri Jones has legit, if you watch my DFS stuff, she has burnt me. She has been burning. She has been horrible. It's just been a bunch of bull crap with Bri Jones left and right. She's getting the minutes. She's not getting the minutes. She's not producing enough, so on and so forth. But the history of Bri Jones going up in this matchup against the Aces all last season, she was amazing, phenomenal, great in the 2 games that she played versus them. She had over 32 fantasy points in both of the games that she played, 15 points in one game, 12 points in another, 10 rebounds in one, 9 rebounds in another. I know her rebounds were originally up here, but a lot of people have already hammered that 4.5 line that they've gone ahead and pull it down. So now your best bet is to go ahead and take her PR, which is at 19.5, and originally that was at 18.5. Same thing where her fantasy score, which while I'm recording this has gotten bumped again, because originally it opened at 24.5. Then it got bumped up to 25.5. Now it's sitting at 26.5, which is right along the edge of my comfortability for it. The best prop play that is left up here for Bri Jones, I will say, is going to have to be her points at that 13.5. If you caught it at 12.5, you got some value right there for her. But I will say this will lean more towards a lean, because again, as I'm recording this video, the play has gotten bumped, so I'm only going to give you this as a lean. I will say those first 2 plays, Carrington and Aaliyah Boston, those would be my 2 favorite plays that you can go ahead and take, paired up with any other plays that you want to take on today's slate. And then other than that, Bri Jones, that's more of a lean for if you're looking for something to fit into that last spot in the 6 flex play. Now, some other honorable mentions that can actually put into a slip if you want to mess with it. I know Tina Charles has burned people sometimes in the past, but Tina Charles, 6.5 fantasy points. She still has a super high usage rate in the beginning of games. There is no Ryan Howard. I would imagine that Tina, I know a lot of people are going to look to Alicia Gray, Cheyenne Parker, depending on if Cheyenne actually starts in the history that Cheyenne has going up against the Fever. But Tina Charles still has over a 20% usage rate on the court. And with Ryan being out, I would imagine that has to go up probably towards the 25%. The first half of games, she normally is very aggressive. We're seeing her hunting for a shot, getting the rebounds, can also go out there and get us some blocks and steals as well. 16.5 fantasy points scored. I do like the upside for it. It has been one of my DFS darlings that I will continue to go to throughout the season, whether or not if she's hit it or not. If the matchup is good, I typically do look to Tina Charles, and the matchup is actually pretty decent for her here going up against Aaliyah Boston. She just had a really poor showing last time, and we got to see Cheyenne Parker coming off the bench pretty much first game that she's came off the bench all season. She went out there and she stuck it to everybody and had a really good game. But Tina Charles, I do love the upside for her here. 16.5, that just feels a little bit too low. It was hovering around 18.5 earlier this season, so definitely some value that we can get right there. If you're worried about turnovers, definitely can take that 13.5 PRA. That is pretty juicy as well for another you can take. But fantasy point score, because I know she can go out there and give me a block or steal or two, and just the rebounding upside that she has, I'm liking that one right there as a play for Tina. If you're possibly looking for some unders, I know unders, a lot of people don't like to take unders, but unders do hit at a pretty decent clip inside of the WNBA if you guys ever pay attention to the games or anything like that. And this may go against popular belief, but between Alyssa Thomas and A'ja Wilson, I strongly feel like one of these two are going to go under this line right here. Part of me wants to lean going with A'ja Wilson at 39 PRA. I understand she's pretty much, not even pretty much, she is the MVP. She's playing at that caliber. She's playing at such a great level so far this season. But this is going to be a tougher matchup. You have the #1 offense going against the #1 defense in the league. They have held every team that they played under 90 points so far this season. And, of course, blowing out several teams as well. So I do expect for Connecticut to come in knowing that they have to slow down A'ja. That's going to be their primary focus. And that's where we should be able to see the other guards, the other players such as Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young go out there, be able to have a banger of a game in response to that. So one of the plays that I don't mind actually going ahead and taking the under on for PRA will be A'ja Wilson at 39. And this is just going with game theory. That is the main thing that I'm going with here for that, just from being a student of the game, watching the game and everything. All the metrics do stick out. Connecticut, they're only allowing about 6.3 rebounds to her position. They're only allowing roughly sitting right around 30 fantasy points to her position as well on the season. So the upside for her to actually have a down game is definitely there. When you look at her game logs going from last season going up against them, she has 23, 13, and 23 points. I know her point line, she has been pretty much a very high offensive weapon so far this season. Her point line currently right now is sitting at 26.5. So if you want to take a gamble on that one right there, taking the under, there's definitely is some merit to going ahead and taking that. As you can see, the #2 defense, which is New York Liberty, they held her down to 21 points in that game. So definitely a food for thought right there if in regards to taking her for under that 26.5 points. Wouldn't be surprised if she actually does go under that. And then we see players, like I said, Jackie Young go off 17.5. If you watched that last game, Jackie was amazing. 32 points going up against Seattle. Wouldn't be surprised if Jackie had an uptick in her scoring just to make up for the fact that A'ja is having such, the coverage and everything that she has, or Kelsey Plum. But again, I do imagine Kelsey should have the Carrington defense. So that really does leave me with a de facto for Jackie Young to be able to go out here and have the game that I would actually expect for her to have. Outside of that, really, I'm not going to force too many plays. That's one of the big things that a lot of people get in trouble for, is just trying to force plays. Another lean you can take would be Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas for their assist. Honestly, do not mind or hate that one at all as another play. Other than that, that's really going to be it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys got something from this video. If you did, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out over here. Check the link down in the description below for the Patreon so you guys can check that out for my plays. Not only my plays, but BK and everyone else over here at the No Days Off fam for everything that we do put up. With it being said, I will see you guys next week. Last video for the week. Gonna enjoy the weekend. I will still have content posted on the Patreon. Good luck to everybody. Peace.